Oi punters, the propaganda war around oil and gas in Australia is heating up. So let's take a look at who's lying to us and about what. Punters, I never thought I would see the day where corporate media would cover the great gas scam that's been going on. Obviously, I've spoken about it in previous YouTube videos. The short of it is, Australia has a lot of gas and we're giving it away for free, and corporations are making billions of dollars from it and not paying any tax. So I never thought that the corporate media would cover this even for a second, but I woke up this morning and they have. So let's take a look at what was said, what's true and what's not.
WA is missing out on up to $9.5 billion revenue by exporting gas royalty-free, according to the Australia Institute.
So $9.5 billion sounds like a lot. It's nothing compared to what we could be getting if we did what Qatar or Norway do. But we'll start with $9.5 billion.
The public policy think tank says the state is giving away more than half our gas supply for free.
Gas is one of the state's richest resources,
Yes,
but according
it is.
to the Australia Institute, WA is missing out on a major payday.
Yes, they are.
It says up to 73% of gas is being exported royalty-free.
So the gas that they're selling overseas to make billions of dollars of profit, they get for free. That's like a baker getting his flour for free to make his bread, right? Doesn't happen in any other business, but it really does for this industry. What a scam.
That gas was sold, exported and sold internationally for around, as liquefied natural gas, for around $111 billion over the last 4 years.
That's what they
The
got for it.
Institute says no petroleum resource rent tax or PRRT is being paid either.
So they got free gas and made $111 billion. Do you know what Australians, what we Aussies could have for $111 billion? We could have free uni, we could have dental and Medicare. Anything the government tells you we can't afford, we could have. And the reason why we can't have the very basics, fundamental things like affordable housing and dental and Medicare is because we're too busy giving our gas to these blokes for free who take the money offshore and park it in some offshore Cayman's accounts, buy yachts or whatever billionaires do with their money.
Costing more than $9.5 billion of extra revenue.
This is a grift. No other country in the world, no other state would put up with this.
There are 10 facilities which export gas as LNG nationally. It says 5 are in WA and 4 of those pay no royalties on gas sold overseas.
Always want to see more money in the coffers because that means we can do more for the community. But we need to balance that out with the needs of industry.
Australian.
Okay, just pause there. That's the Premier of WA. Can we just pause on how stupid what he's just said is? So he's saying, oh, we'd love to see more money for you, the taxpayer. Remember, this is your gas. But then he says, but we've got to balance it with the needs of industry. According to the Premier, the industry needs $111 billion worth of free gas in order to operate. What? Western Australians could have minimum $9 billion. I'd argue a hell of a lot more if the government just actually did its bloody job. But he's saying, oh, the industry. And you see how vague it is? You see how useless? Like, no one's pressing him on this. Well, hang on. I'm pretty sure the industry could still operate if they paid us for our gas and actually paid tax. They'd still turn a profit. Well, sure, it wouldn't be as huge as it is, but they'd still operate with a profit, so it would still work. It's just so dumb when you think about it. Let's keep going.
Energy producers have responded to the claims they say misrepresent the current tax and royalty regime in place for offshore oil and gas industries.
So the Australian energy producers, that's like the head of the gas cartel. So Chevron, Exxon, Santos, all these multinational foreign-owned corporations come to Australia, take our gas, and in order to ensure that the government doesn't stop them from taking the gas for free, they have an Australia Energy Producers Lobby Group that kind of spearheads the propaganda campaigns and the lobbying for government and those sorts of things. The AEP, that's the event that I tried to attend. I tried to get into the event to see what the politicians are saying to these gas companies, because I guarantee the politicians aren't saying, oi, gas bludgers, pay your bloody tax and pay us for our gas, or you can piss off. I guarantee that's not what they said, even though they didn't let me into the event.
And that it simply defies logic to suggest gas projects in Commonwealth waters would pay state royalties.
So this is a classic weasel thing. So like, oh, well, why would we pay WA state royalties? Because it's under the Commonwealth, right? So it's a non-argument. Yes. Then pay the Commonwealth. I don't care if you pay WA or the Commonwealth, just bloody pay someone, because gas that's drilled outside of WA in the ocean, that is the responsibility of the federal government. But anything drilled in the state obviously was in there. So they're just throwing rubbish in there that makes punters think, oh yeah, that's true. Like, it's a nothing argument that sounds like an argument. So let's keep going.
The national peak body also claims the institute has used old figures, and as costs of projects were recovered, more revenue flowed to state and federal governments. It says the resource rent tax raised more than $2 billion in 2022 to 23.
Okay. So we'll put the numbers in context again. Oh, you're using old figures. Oh, it's going to increase, etc. Really vague rubbish BS that the average punter watching corporate media will go, oh yeah, okay, I guess we are getting something. Let's put that $2 billion into context. So we'll take their number. Oh, we paid $2 billion. Remember what they made on free gas? $111 billion is what they made on free. Was the value of the free gas that they got. Now I've shown you this before in other videos, but we'll go over it again here, right? Qatar got $76 billion from its gas exports. We export more than them. Remember that. So they got 76. The Australian energy producers are saying, oh, we paid $2 billion. Let's put that in a little graph just to really show what it is. So here's my homemade graph. We've got Qatar with $76 billion that went to the Qatari citizens. And then we have, this is what the AEP saying, oh, no, we paid $2 billion. Let's just remember that. So they throw around numbers to be confusing. They throw technical arguments that you have to have a lot of information to know that it's BS. They're just trying to push their own version of propaganda to just make Aussies think that they're paying their fair share, but they are bloody not. So why am I shocked that Channel 10 was covering this? Well, because every channel on TV is owned by corporate investors and billionaires, and Channel 10, Network 10, has a whole history of like connections with Lachlan Murdoch. To be honest, I'm not great at working out who owns what. I'm just Googling and Wikipediaing here. So fact checks welcome, citations necessary. But according to the Wikipedia page, you've got 17% was owned by Packer and Lachlan Murdoch, and then Gina Reinhart gets in there and gets appointed a board member with 10% of the company. So it's just changed hands. It's just a corporate entity. Corporations buy media to tell punters the story that benefits them the most. And so I'm shocked that Channel 10 ran this story, because it has lots of investors that are invested in mining companies. It takes lots of money from mining companies for advertising as well. So the incentives for a Channel 10 to run this story are really low. So I'm genuinely shocked that it covered this, and good on Channel 10 for covering it. Obviously, as news goes, they don't provide any context around the numbers, which is what I'm trying to do here. So you kind of get a handle on just how scammed we're getting. So that was a bit of a shock. Now, every other country that exports energy is ahead of us. Even the Conservative government in the UK introduced an energy profits levy. When the energy company profits went up hundreds of percents, the government said, great, you did nothing to earn those extras. We'll take some of that. Thank you very much. And the British people got a bit of a slice of that pie, whereas we get literally nothing. Now, Western Australia has a better gas policy than the eastern states, because the WA government policy bans gas produced onshore from being exported. This means that WA will always have enough gas to service the energy needs of the state itself. The eastern states did not do this. This is why Victoria is saying we're going to have a gas shortage. We're going to have enough gas. We do. They're just letting the gas companies export it rather than give it here. And so Mark McGowan introduced this policy, I believe, of banning gas that's exported. But let's take a look at how dodgy this stuff is. Guess who got an exemption to this rule and is allowed to export the gas that they mine? Well, let's take a look. But there was one exemption. A project known as Waitsia in WA's Midwest, operated by Japan's Mitsui and Beach Energy, a company backed by media mogul Kerry Stokes. So Kerry Stokes, Channel 7. So all these billionaires own all our corporate media, and then they leverage politicians. So even when Mark McGowan's passing a rule that benefits every person in WA and is a smart thing to do to say, you need to provide our gas first, anything drilled here is ours, you can't export it. You go figure why a billionaire media mogul got an exemption for this. Go figure, right? And what makes it even worse, if you know where Mark McGowan ended up when he finished his tenure as Premier of Western Australia, he got a few different jobs. One was with the former treasurer of the Liberal Party, Joe Hockey, who is now a lobbyist and owns a lobbying firm, which is this bloke here. You're trying to remember what he looked like. But he also got a few other jobs. He got a job at Minerals Resources and at BHP. So he's consulting for multiple mining companies after making the rules for the state. Sound like corruption? No. It's legal, so you can't use that word. Maybe we can think of another word that means the same thing. So you can't use the word corruption, but it's pretty bloody dodgy that the bloke making the rules carved out exemptions for media billionaires. And then when he left, became a lobbyist for the very industry that he regulated. And now, get this, other billionaires are demanding similar treatment to what Kerry Stokes got, including Perth mining billionaire Chris Ellison, who has been paying former WA Premier Mark McGowan as a consultant. So you make the rules, you leave. Billionaires go, hey, I'll give you lots of money. Come work for me so that you can help me navigate loopholes so that I can become even more rich than I already am. Mark McGowan's not the only one to do this. Julie Bishop, if you remember her, she ended up at MinRes as well as a lobbyist, so she was high up in the federal government. So it's really not that hard to work out how mining companies get 73% of the gas that they export for free. They donate to politicians. They own the media to keep punters in the dark and to spew propaganda that makes you think mining companies are good for Australia when they're literally ripping it off. And then they give these politicians that wrote the rules cushy $1 million jobs so that the politicians can now use their connections to make these companies even more wealthy. And it is all at your expense. I wish I had better news for you, but I don't. So thanks for watching. Cheers to the mad punts over on Patreon that keep me doing what I'm doing. Share this video with a punter who might not know that this scam is taking place, and I'll catch you in the next episode.